Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow conservatives. Welcome, fellow patriots. Or as Hillary would say, welcome, fellow deplorables, you rock dwellers. Or as Obama would say, calling us bitter clinger-oners. Or just, you bad people. Or as Biden would call us, chumps. Welcome, you chumps. Or as other Democratic leaders have called us, squealing pigs, hostage takers, terrorists, saboteurs, arsonists. Or as one leftist lunatic senator said, those people are guilty of murder, in my opinion. So now they call us murderers. But anyhow, these people are unhinged, aren't they? But to you, the patriotic Americans who are maligned precisely because you value the Constitution and freedom, welcome. We are glad you are here once again with the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm George Landreth. He is the good doctor, the doctor of democracy, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and we are coming to you on the Conservative Commandos radio network from the Conservative Commandos studios, and of course coming on the AUN-TV network, which is the America Uncensored News Network. So it's good to have you with us. We're glad you made it, and welcome back. It's good to see you today again as one of our great co-hosts here. Thanks for joining sharing the mic with me today. I'm glad I get to share with you. I always like your backdrop. It's so upbeat, and you're somebody who always champions what matters. I understand that you've had a chance to go to some rallies of late. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely, George. Great being here with you as well. And I'd like to start off the show and basically tell everybody it's just another absolutely great day to be alive and well and free and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. I mean, where else in a country, a democratic nation, it's a republic, that you actually can literally go to an event and be sometimes just a few feet from the leader of the free world, the leader of your country, the President of the United States. I mean, I've been to a ton of these rallies for President Trump when he was running back in 15 and 16, and in between during the special elections, whenever the people are coming out of North Carolina. I've been to the ones in Ohio. I've been to the ones in PA. And we happened to be last Wednesday. It was the one that was held in Gastonia, North Carolina. It's a little bit half an hour away from Charlotte. Put together, and I'm telling you, George, here, I think our audience, they can see that.
It's a little bit of a crowd.
Just a little bit of a crowd there.
Yeah.
Beautiful backdrop, the symbol of freedom around the world, the American flag, so many other pictures. Somewhere between 27 to 30,000 people showed up in Gastonia, okay, at a municipal airport. Nobody does this. Rock stars don't do this. I mean, past presidents don't do this. I mean, it's just unheard of. These are just people that are just coming up because they just want it, a piece of it. It's like crossing off your bucket list to go. And I had to get there. The thing started at 7:30. It's about a 3.5 hour drive for me. So we got up early in the morning. You go down there. You're waiting in line 5, 6, 7 hours. You finally get there. Then you're in your seats. We got great seats behind the podium. We're literally maybe about 200 feet. If your president's looking this way, we were sit back over here in the stands. I mean, what else can you do? And then Lumberton, North Carolina. He starts at Wednesday. He says, I'm going to come back Saturday morning, impromptu. Why? Because this is the first time they say a sitting president has gone to Robeson County in North Carolina. And the reason is because he wanted to let the American Native Indians of the Lumbee tribe know that he stands with them and he's going to do everything in his power, as he's done with other American Native tribes, to give them recognition and federal sovereignty. And so supposedly that tribe is around 12 to 15,000 members living in Robeson County. And literally within a few hours, I mean, on a Saturday, like 4,000 or 5,000 people show up, and a diverse crowd. It wasn't just all white people. I wasn't the only brown person there. So again,
some of us are jealous of the fact that you have a good tan.
I've got a great tan. There are areas of my body that are white, but we won't go into that.
This is a family show.
Right. But I mean, this is what it's all about. I had some of my friends go, were you the only brown person there? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, we were all Americans there, whether we're brown, black, green, yellow, blue, whatever and stuff. But these are, what? There are people, George. And then I went to a Biden rally about 3 weeks ago when he was in Durham. 32 cars That was it. 32 cars.
So all the thousands of people who showed up walked there?
There was a crowd of protesters, I mean, they were there. They were probably more so than the Biden people. And then get this, Kamala Harris, I guess she got COVID, or somebody in her staff got COVID, so they had to rearrange a trip for her to go to Charlotte, North Carolina, to Truist baseball field, which probably can hold, I would say, maybe 30, 40,000 people. And if you put the infield in, you could really pack it in. I had a couple of my friends go there. People don't believe you when you talk about this, but you can go Google it. Kamala Harris, Charlotte visit Truist Field. George, even the newspaper that was there, I think or the TV crew that was there, WRAL, said it was 250 people. And the reason it was 250 people, it was a private invite only. Now, these people expect you and I to believe that you're going to rent out a baseball stadium to hold an invitation for only 250 people. And I'll tell you, it's a total lie. You know why? Because the two people that went up weren't invited. They're Trump supporters, but I told them, you go there, don't do anything, don't ask any questions, just report on the crowd. They said it was less than 250, and by the time it was over, it was less than 100. And this is to see Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And this, you can Google it all over the place. Yeah. Trump rally is just going all over the place. I mean, without him even showing up, there's more people than a Biden rally.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I've seen photographs of people who show up to Biden events or Kamala Harris events, whatever. And at times, I saw one where I counted there was 21 people there, half of which approximately would be her own team of people, and some of whom were the media. So the question is how many of them were actually voters? It was single digits. It had to be. That's just how it works. I was stunned. So, it's interesting to see how. But I mean, Joe Biden's way ahead in the polls, right? Because
oh my goodness. I mean, how about the stupidity of people saying, "Well, we don't know." Remember, they told us in 2016, crowd size means nothing about voting.
Right.
Because you're going to wake up in the morning or take a day off from work, leave at 4 or 5 in the morning with your family, drive 3, 4, 5, 6 hours to an event, wait in line for 3, 4 hours, hear him for an hour and a half, then wait another hour to get to your car. Mm-hmm. And then drive another 4 or 5 hours home, and then you're going to tell everybody, I ain't voting for the guy.
Right.
That just doesn't happen.
Well, and chances are you're going to do more than vote for him.
Oh, my
You're going to tell your
absolutely.
friends they should too. Yes. You're going to be pretty actively supporting this candidate. You're not just showing up, but you're actually going to do more than that. And so, and then the question is how about all the people who didn't show up for Joe? What are they going to do to help his campaign if they couldn't even bother to show up? Maybe they'll vote. Maybe they won't. But I can't imagine they'll do much else.
I feel my COVID, the COVID. I got my COVID defense mechanism.
Yeah, well, when COVID sees that, it runs in the other direction, right?
That's right.
Is it scientifically proven? I think that having that mask probably is better than a lot of those paper ones I see.
What they should have done was told everybody, put these masks on, okay? And you immediately, what the left would do is, hey, we don't need masks anymore.
Yeah, masks are a bad idea. There you go.
Trump 2020, baby. Trump 2020.
So that's funny. So did you get that at the rally, or did you get it elsewhere?
No, I had it elsewhere.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I do find it interesting that that's kind of the way the rallies go, because they still, I mean, you're right. In 2016, they were telling us that the crowd size doesn't matter. That's not scientific. And I understand it's not plus or minus, 1 degree this or that. It's, but it obviously was relevant because Donald Trump won easily in the Electoral College. It wasn't that close.
Right.
He won. It was a pretty impressive victory, and I don't understand why they would act like it doesn't matter. It does. So you anecdotally, you've been to several, and you have had some friends that did some attendance on your behalf as well. And your report is it is in fact what we've seen, if we've been, which is massive crowds for Donald Trump, and they can barely muster anyone.
They never pan the crowds. You got to take the pictures yourself.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And have you noticed at the Biden rallies and the Kamala Harris rallies?
Oh, it's always tight, right on them.
It's always tight. And I'll tell you what, Obama, I think he was in Florida campaigning. From what I heard, nothing. A handful of people to see Obama. I mean, he's past president of the United States, but literally even Trump said, I want Obama on the trail, because guess what? He's sending votes over to our side. So it really is just...
it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, that's an interesting... It's always good to hear from someone who's actually been there, because I have seen the pictures and I've thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. But turns out it's all true. So... we are up against the break, though, so sometimes the clock interrupts when I wish it wouldn't, but it does. It's kind of like facts. Facts don't care about your feelings, and neither does the clock. But you are listening to Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth, and he is Dr. Nasser Sheikh. And we, of course, are coming down the Conservative Commandos radio network, broadcast all across this great nation. And, of course, you also can watch us on the Conservative Commandos television network, which is the AUN-TV network in California. And, of course, if you don't happen to be near one of those broadcast towers, Al Gore's amazing internet, never fear, it comes to the rescue. We're there. You can get us on TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, that kind of stuff, and our own website, ccrshow.com. Don't go away. The good doctor of democracy and I will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the AUN-TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, and of course, Al Gore's amazing internet. We truly are everywhere. I do want to give a quick shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, the Villages, all down in Florida, Las Vegas, Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Maryland. We truly are everywhere. And then, of course, on the AUN TV network. We've got folks all over the place in California. So it's great that you're with us. We appreciate you being here. The good doctor of democracy, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and I are glad you're with us. And I always enjoy doing it with the good doctor, because look at the background behind him. What's not to like about that? And he always reminds us that it's always awesome to enjoy freedom and liberty. So anyhow, it's fun to be with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you, George. I always tell people, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're just plain wrong. But you know what? We talk about the polls and what's going on. I know you've looked at it before. Give us a sense, George, of what you're seeing in terms of some of the early ballot returns and some of the early voting that's going on. And traditionally, what sort of happens with Democrats and Republicans and how their voting patterns are.
Absolutely. Well, traditionally, Republicans tend to wait to vote until Election Day. But in the old days, when you had absentee balloting due to travel and other factors, Republicans also won that. But as soon as we got the early voting and the more extended voting, I think we're used to losing that vote and then trying to make it up on Election Day when we tend to show up and vote. I think we might be surprised this time around, because some of the data I'm seeing suggests that Republicans have been very, very active in registering new voters, something the Democrats did not do. Some of that would be a failure on their part, because they spend all their time telling everyone, you're all going to die. You're going to get this virus and you'll all die. So, hide in your basement like Joe Biden is. And so, but also on top of that, they have, if you look at some of the data, the early vote in a number of important states, particularly I think the battleground states, I don't know if that's true in California, but in the battleground states where it actually matters, there's a lot of data there that suggests that Republicans could be doing very, very well. Now, of course, we don't actually know on each ballot if they voted for, Biden or Trump. What we do know, though, is certain demographic information about where they live, perhaps where they voted in the past, those kinds of things, why they registered, etc. So the bottom line is, I think there's a lot of good information in there that suggests that Donald Trump is doing far better than you might have expected, in 2012 or 2016 for the early vote, which normally we've gotten used to losing. At least I have. But you may have some more detailed data. So let's hear it. After all, you're the man who's attending the multiple and has intelligence of people going even to the Biden stuff. So what's the story?
Well, first of all, I just want to preface this by saying that, look, we all take a look at data, we all analyze stuff. And the whole idea is that you put yourself out there, you look at the data, and you don't do any Monday night quarterbacking, basically. You put it out there. So for those of you people that are going to be listening to our broadcast and wondering, where have I done things in the past? If you go to my website, www.drnassersheikh.com, www.drnassersheikh.com, you'll see the video that I did in 2016 and previously, where I predicted, and one of the few people that predicted that Donald Trump would win. I had him winning 320 electoral votes. He ended up with 306. I said, we're going to keep the House with the Senate races and whatever. I also predicted something else, and I said at that time that by the time Donald Trump comes after his first term, the stock market, which was below 20,000 at that time, I said it was going to be above 25,000. All that stuff was there. I took a look at the data. I look at a lot of other people that are out there and people that are more seasoned than I am, take a look at what they're talking about. But here's some things that I've come up with. First of all, I want to let you know, Wayne Allen Root, if you follow that person, he is basically saying that this is going to be the Michael Dukakis election. I mean, that's how confident he is, where Michael Dukakis back in 88, was up by 17 to 20 points. And where we know that George Bush won in a landslide, took over 40, states that time. But here's what I want to get into. We've now had open person voting and early voting pretty much across the United States. And right now, Republicans are crushing it, folks. They are killing it in Florida, in Ohio, in Michigan, in Arizona. And just to give you an idea.
Those are all important battleground states,
Those are important battleground states. And look, Ohio, they've said, has always predicted the winner.
Yeah, and in modern times, that's true.
Trump was supposed to lose Ohio by 2 to 3 points. He won it by 8 points, folks, last year. It was something that I predicted was going to be but 5 to 7 points. I have a feeling, based on what I'm seeing now, Ohio is going to be plus 10. Wow. That's what I think. Plus 10 in Ohio, based on what I'm seeing. Florida.
That's good news. I just want to point this out real quickly why that's so important. It's hard to steal an election when you win by 10 percentage points. It's easy to steal an election when you win by 10 votes. When you win by 10 percentage points, it's very difficult to steal it.
Right. And like I said, you need to win one of those two, or at least both of them, to have a chance, on either side or whatever. Now, the same thing, as I said, is going on in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, even in Nevada, where I basically have coined a term, and I basically say that there's a new demographic that's out there that I don't think the polls are taking a good look at or taking a snapshot of or care to report on. And these are the newly registered voters. And traditionally, again, Democrats, because of the democratic machinery, have always been able to get into the inner city, into the minorities, and into the urban areas, and they've always been able to register more Democrats than Republicans have been able to muster. That's not the case this time. For example, in Pennsylvania, as of last year, there are 100,000 more Republicans that have been registered in the state of Pennsylvania than Democrats. That means we're plus 100,000. Now people say, oh, the detractors. Well, that doesn't mean they're all going to vote Republican. Okay, let me go the other way. Do you know that in the primary, over 94% of the people, they didn't have to go and vote. Trump was all there by himself.
Right.
He
wasn't even being opposed.
Wasn't even, yeah.
So if you're waiting in line to cast a vote for a guy who's going to win.
Waiting in line to vote for one person, that's because of voter enthusiasm. So if you say that 90% or plus of the registered Republicans are going to vote Republican, can you say the same thing about Democrats? What about their base? We're going to be talking about some polls in some other segments about the blacks and where. I just want to give you an idea, too, of what's happening. Give you an idea that the coalition of black voters or minority voters, Hispanic voters, and the youth vote, folks, they are down. Just give you an idea right now. In 2008, John McCain got 4% of the black vote. 4%. Obama crushed it, obviously. Romney in 2012 got 6% of the vote. Do you know what Trump got in 2016? 9%. You know what I'm expecting Trump to get in 2020? I'm expecting to get between 15 to 20. I would not be surprised if he goes upwards of 20 into the 25s. If he kept it back 30, I would not be shocked at all. Now,
because his approval rating among blacks has jumped dramatically in the last week or so.
46%, according to Rasmussen.
Right.
46%. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. You got to ask yourself, if you're a black man and you approve of Donald Trump, why wouldn't you vote for him?
Look at what he's done. $500 million to HBCUs, and that's going to continue. The First Step Act. How many people under Joe Biden's 1980, I think it was 84 or 88, the law that he passed, the Criminal Justice Act that he passed, it put a lot of blacks, incarcerated them for low-level crimes. Do you know how many men and women have been let out now because of the First Step program of President Trump? I mean, you see it on the videos all along. They're saying Georgia is going to be close. Folks, it's not going to be close. Give you some ideas. Exit polls. In 2016, the black vote share was 30%. Right now, as of 3 days ago, it was 28.8% and falling. The same thing occurred in North Carolina in 2008. Barack Obama got a huge percent of the black vote. I just want to make sure I got this right. The percentage of that share of vote was that he was running, and McCain. At that time, McCain got 4%, and that was running against Obama. Guess what happened to the black percentage share of the vote? It fell to 23%. And 3 days ago, the percentage of black vote right now in North Carolina, it stands at 21%. Folks, the black coalition of votes, that's falling. It's a much, less of a pie that's happening right now. And on top of that, can we assume that every one of those black Democrat voters are voting for Joe Biden? We can't do that. I got so much more here, too, in terms of that.
But I don't think they're black if they don't vote for him.
Right.
Isn't that what he told us?
Oh, look at the stuff that Ice Cube and 50 Cent. You know what 50 Cent said? 50 Cent said he don't want to be 20 Cent. Because he says Biden's tax laws are going to make him 20 Cent. I mean, they're getting skewered on social media, and that's where the Democrats, they start eating their own. And Ice Cube was, some of his videos, oh man, he came back at some of the people there. So, Candace Owens talks about, 2020 election, 20% of the black vote in 2020 for Donald Trump. Brexit, blacks leaving the plantation that they talk about. I talk about duped, the democratic utopian plantation for the expansion of dependency. And as they said, blacks in America are waking up and saying, what have the Democrats done for us? Nothing. We need to wake up, and they are waking up. They're making their choices, and like I said, the polls are really, really reflective of a huge victory. It seems that for Donald Trump. And next Monday we'll come out and talk about the Electoral College and what our predictions are, and go through a state by state more into that thing. But,
exactly. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
no, I'm with you. I think you're right on that. And one thing's for sure, sleepy Joe Biden won't be waking anyone up. but Donald Trump has been waking people up. People look at the opportunities creating, and it makes a difference. But we are up against the clock, and we need to take a quick break. And we've got some great guests coming up. My guess is we'll just have to surprise you with our guest, but we do have a great one coming up. Well, I'll tease this one. We've got Danielle D'Souza Gill as our first guest, and it's going to be awesome. That is, of course, the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza. So don't go away. Stick around. It's going to be worth sticking around. It'll be awesome. Do want to remind you our website, ccrshow.com. The good doctor and I will be right back with Danielle after these messages.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm gonna call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show carried on the AUN-TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network. And if you're not near one of those many broadcast towers that carries our signal, never fear, because Al Gore's amazing internet is here. We truly are everywhere. With the possible exception of China, North Korea, and Iran, because I hear they don't really think much of freedom there. At least that's what I'm told. But at any rate, I'm George Landreth, and I am here with the Doctor of Democracy, Nasser Sheikh. We are your co-hosts today. We're glad you're joining us. This is the place to be. Do want to remind you, if you want a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. Now, Nasser, I'm going to turn it to you to introduce our next guest, because we've got a great guest, and I hate to give the honor to you, but I'm going to.
Thank you, George. Well, we have Danielle D'Souza Gill. She's an author of a new book, The Choice, The Abortion Divide in America. And she also happens to be the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza. So if I could just tell you right now, Danielle, what an honor it is to have you on our program. Your father is absolutely one of my top heroes. I've seen his videos on YouTube. I follow his speeches. I'm a groupie. I'm a Dinesh D'Souza groupie. So anyways, let me give you a little bit more, our listeners out there and viewers. She's also the youngest advisory board member of the Women for Trump. She's a part of the new generation of young people who refuse to buy into the moral and rhetorical denials of the feminist movement. And her book, The Choice, dismantles the left's most popular pro-choice arguments, from a fetus is a cluster of cells to abortion is a constitutional right. This book is particularly timely, obviously, with Amy Baird, who's going to be confirmed today. So first of all, Danielle, thank you so much for appearing here on the Conservative Commandos Radio and the TV show as well. Give us a sense, what was it that, I know what prompted you to write our book, but what about for our viewers and listeners out there? What was it that made you start, and go from there?
Yeah, so I think I really wanted to write this book because I was in college in the 2016 election. I kind of saw the radical Planned Parenthood supporters who were supporting Hillary Clinton, and then I moved to New York City and saw Governor Cuomo light up the Freedom Tower pink to celebrate 9-month abortions for no medical reason. And he said this is something that he hopes the rest of the nation follows. So I think it just was the radicalization of the Democrats when it comes to abortion that made me realize that this is an issue we have to really fight harder on. We even see, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pushing for federal funding for abortion, for overturning the Hyde Amendment, making Americans like you and me pay for other people's unlimited abortion. So this is something that we absolutely have to keep fighting on. Absolutely. Now, give us an idea of the youngest advisory board member on Women for Trump. What's that like, and how large is the group? And, where are the affiliates? I mean, are they obviously all across all 50 states? But give us a sense of what's going on with the Women for Trump movement. Yeah, so Women for Trump are all over the country. They're a huge demographic as far as who's voting for Trump. The advisory board, I think, launched not last summer, but the last summer. So we've actually been gearing up for quite some time for this election, just to make sure that we are getting an early head start. But my focus has been the grassroots side of it, and I found that with traveling with the Women for Trump bus, with really reaching a lot of kind of younger voters, that a lot of young women just really like the fact that our side is reaching out to them directly, is making them very included, making sure that they can kind of meet people in their area, make sure that they know that other women also support Trump. I find that the social media element is very important for reaching young people. A lot of them, unfortunately, get their news from social media. So I try to put out as much as possible every day so they can find that information. But yeah, I mean, the left likes to act like Women for Trump don't exist, like they, hate themselves or hate their lives or something. But they're all very happy, wonderful people who want our country to be a better place, and that's why they're voting for Trump. Well, Danielle, if you listen to the alphabet networks out there, if you listen to the mainstream Marxist media, what I call the Democratic State Party-controlled media, they're telling us that suburban women do not want to vote for Donald Trump because they're scared of him. So I suppose when you've been out there traveling for women, you're probably being chased out of those neighborhoods, aren't you? So, yeah, I mean, I think, unfortunately, our polls are just completely off. Unfortunately, the polling was completely off in 2016, and it is this year, too. But I think that actually everything that happened with the rioting and the very unfortunate destruction of businesses and neighborhoods really did not poll well for the Democrats. And it was really only then, at the very last minute, that Biden realized that maybe he should say something about it, but he still has yet to denounce Antifa. He still has yet to really distance himself from the violence that's going on. And I think most of those people just want to live in a safe country and in a safe place where their kids can go to school and not have, radical ideologies shoved down their throat. So I find that most suburban people that I've met are very disillusioned with politics. They find everything kind of very disruptive and all of that, but I always tell them that that's not because of Trump, that's because of the fake news media and the radical left, and we have to fight back against that to even get to a place where we're living in a somewhat normal, peaceful place. But before we get there, we have to go through all of this because unfortunately the Democrats are just going to fight us tooth and nail on every single thing.
Well, one of the questions is, how do you feel when you see the women on the left, when they talk about feminism and that women should have their own minds? And then you hear people like Rachel Maddow and Joey Bell or whatever her name is, these people on the left shows, and they basically say that the women who voted for Trump, you guys are just, idiots. You're just a throwaway vote. What do you say to that type of feminism where they want the diversity, but they don't want the diversity of thought?
Yeah, I would just say that I think that their whole way of talking to women is completely off. It's completely off base. Women care about all the same issues that men care about. There's no such thing as women's issues or women's vote or whatever. Women look at the facts just like men do and decide who they want to vote for. And if you don't like who they're voting for, then maybe you should change your policies, or maybe you should decide to, stop pushing this kind of divisive rhetoric that is really just intended to make women either hate themselves or wish they were basically the same as men, which is, of course, kind of a very horrible way, I think, to view oneself, in the sense that unless you physically become a man, you will never actually be a man. But women can do almost all the same things that men can do, and women can vote and all those things. So I don't know why they would oppose women exercising, something that many women fought very hard for us to have. And most of those women, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, all of them would be very disappointed to look at these people who call themselves feminist, but are, radically pro-abortion and want to destroy small lives and the family.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that really I talk about too is that, when the voting bloc was voting for the Democrats and voting for Clinton and Obama, they never delineated them, men and women, into those with college and those without college degrees. Because what they're actually saying is people with college degrees are smart, people with non-college degrees are stupid. And the women's vote went for 4 points for Donald Trump with women who had college degrees. Obviously the opposite with the men. So that's where some of this stuff came along. So I'm so glad that there are obviously wonderful, women that are obviously on the right side of this. I know as we get into this, give us a sense of Amy Coney Barrett. And again, promise made, promise kept, winning, winning, winning. Tell us what you think, in your words, why she's going to make such a great Associate Justice on the Supreme Court for years to come.
Well, I think President Trump was right to really keep his eye on her. He had had her on his list for a while, and I think it was a great decision that he made with her. She stated that she's the first Supreme Court nominee to be the mother of small children. I think that's very unique and special about her. She's also an originalist. She views the Constitution as something that should really dictate the laws that we live by and kind of, how judges rule. She's also talked a lot about how Roe v. Wade is not super precedent, because the American people have not accepted it. I think when the left questioned her, they wanted her to say how she would rule on a future case, but that would be inappropriate since that case has not come before her yet. And so I think what she said, really makes a lot of sense. She has a lot of discernment when it comes to answering those questions. The left wasn't really able to get her. They're trying to make her out like she somehow hates healthcare, or she somehow is going to, ruin people's healthcare status and so on. But, I think that the left is honestly just looking for straws, looking for things to get her on. Of course, they really can't say anything about Amy Coney Barrett's character or any reason why she would not be qualified for this job. So I think that she will absolutely be confirmed probably in the matter of hours, and it will be a great victory for everyone in America, because she is going to be a very historic nominee, and I think she'll do a great job.
Well, great. We're here speaking with Danielle D'Souza Gill. She's the author of a new book, The Choice, The Abortion Divided America, and she also happens to be the daughter of one of America's greatest patriots, Dinesh D'Souza. Danielle, we'd love to hold you over for another segment. Would you be kind enough to do so?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And folks, we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network and the AUN-TV broadcasting system that can be seen in California. We're also on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn American Political Radio, and AM/FM 24/7. Folks, we've got to take care of business. We have our sponsors coming up. We'd love you to do business with them because, you know, this is still a capitalist country. We're not into socialism. That's right, folks. We'll be right back on the other side with our co-producer for today's show, George Landrip, and Danielle D'Souza Gill.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the AUN TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, we truly are broadcast all across this great nation. And of course, I know that because it's such a big nation, there are going to be a few pockets where you are not near one of our broadcast towers. But never fear. Al Gore so thoughtfully solved that problem with his amazing internet. We're really glad. Sometimes it worries me if someone reads a transcript of this, because transcripts don't carry sarcasm very well, that they'll think I actually think Al Gore invented the internet. But if you're listening or viewing, you know that I'm making fun of Al Gore when I say that. But at any rate, I'm George Landreth, and of course I am here with the Doctor of Democracy, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. He is, a real doctor. What I mean by that is he treats people. He has an MD, a medical. He's knows what he's talking about. And he had the privilege of introducing initially. So if you missed it, just check out our website, ccrshow.com. We have been talking with the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza, Danielle D'Souza Gill, who in of herself is a really remarkable individual. If you saw her, for example, in the movie Trump Card, you'll realize that she is not merely Dinesh D'Souza's daughter, that she has a lot going on in her head. She's written a great book. In fact, Danielle, thanks for sticking around. And would you be willing to hold up that book? Because this is a book worth reading.
This is the book.
There you go.
The Choice. Yep. The abortion side in America. You won't miss it.
Absolutely. I want to jump in and maybe just talk briefly about this whole concept, because the left always misrepresents debates. And the debate, they act as if the Supreme Court were to overrule Roe v. Wade, that immediately anybody, that abortion would be entirely illegal, that anybody who had one would be thrown in jail. I've even seen people say that Amy Barrett, Judge Barrett, prefers or would support the idea of imprisoning and even executing women who get abortions. That's how crazy the conversation I've seen online be at times. So can you set us straight? What is really at stake if the Supreme Court were to overrule Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, it would not make abortion illegal tomorrow or anything like that. It would basically send it back to the states. Roe v. Wade, all it is a block that blocks states from passing a given restriction, really. So let's say you lived in a place like New York or California, they would likely pass laws very similar where they allow what they're doing currently, 9-month abortion, third trimester, what have you. But if you're living in a state that perhaps wants to pass a heartbeat bill or some other kind of bill that they wanted to pass democratically, instead of being struck down by the Supreme Court, which it would be right now with Roe v. Wade in place, it would be able to become law in that state. So that state would decide democratically what they want to do with abortion. That's what would happen probably the next day if Roe v. Wade were overturned, along with, the things attached to Roe v. Wade, like Planned Parenthood v. Casey. But the left likes to act like, if Roe v. Wade was overturned tomorrow, we would have some kind of, federal ban on abortion. Now, of course, that is something else that could come down in the future, but that is not what would happen if Roe v. Wade were overturned.
Exactly. One of the things I think that's interesting is the left always tells us that the media and so forth always make this claim, which is that the right has become so radically changed over the, in recent years, and it's so much more conservative than it used to be. And I always find that argument to be silly. And the reason why I do is, let's assume we, in 2024, that Ronald Reagan is not dead, he's alive, and let's assume he's young and healthy. The question was, could Ronald Reagan win the Republican nomination in 2024? And I think the answer is self-evidently yes. But this is my question. Could someone like Bill Clinton win the Democratic nomination? Someone like Bill Clinton, who said that he wanted abortion to be safe, legal, and rare, would that fly in today's Democratic Party? Because in Virginia, we had a governor who was talking about fourth trimester abortions, meaning aborting a baby after it was born in the fourth trimester. So what do you think? Which party shifted?
The Democrats absolutely have pushed out every single relatively pro-life person in their camp, even people in their camp who are pro-choice but perhaps more moderate on it. They have basically gotten rid of all of those people, and unfortunately, even the Democrats who are, didn't win the presidential nomination, most of them are pro-abortion. Even Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're both pro-abortion. So I'm really hard-pressed to think of almost any Democrat that is pro-life, and most of those people are now conservatives or Republicans now. So you really couldn't run for political office as a pro-life Democrat, even in a potentially red area. Unfortunately, the Democrats would just hate you and probably hang you out to dry because you would not be welcome in their party. That is just so central to their party platform. I mean, if you're a Democrat who's covering the news, you're a Democrat in politics, you're a Democrat who's really trying to do anything of public view, you really can't be pro-life on their side because they would not welcome you anymore. The Bill Clinton doctrine of safe, legal, and rare has really been thrown in the trash by everyone on their side, and even the Clintons have become radically pro-abortion now. Hillary Clinton has defended 9-month abortions. She is not in line with that old view from the 90s. So no, the Democrats are completely changed. And Reagan, I think, is a good example of how the Republican Party has become more pro-life. He wasn't always pro-life, and he became pro-life. So I think that's the case for actually a lot of people. A lot of Americans didn't know what they thought about it, and now are seeing the truth behind it and see what abortion actually is, not just kind of the surface level of it, but what actually is abortion. And then they say, wow, this is not okay with me. I guess that means I'm a pro-life person. You think it'd be crazy, but it's actually very normal. And most Americans are against second and third trimester abortions.
Absolutely. You look at, I think the sonogram has helped a lot. It gives you a better sense of what's actually going on inside the womb. And it makes it a lot harder, I think, to see a sonogram and then argue that, yeah, you should, it's a good idea as a matter of public policy. We should, be able to kill those little, tiny humans. This is effectively what they are. But anyhow, one of the things I find a little disingenuous with this whole idea that when they talk about being pro-choice is I'm hard-pressed to find that they're pro-choice on anything. They're not pro-school choice. They're not pro-choice on me spending more of my own income. They're not pro-choice on me being able to choose how to run my business. They think they can raise my family, run my business, and live my life better than I can. And they not only do they think they can do it better than I can, but they're so sure they can, they want to actually, do it. So how do they get off saying they're pro-choice on this one issue? I'm puzzled by that.
Yeah, I think they use the word choice because it sounds like a nice word. It's a very appealing word, and everyone, when they hear that word, goes, oh, wow, okay, cool. Yeah, I like the idea of choice. But of course, when it comes to this, they're only in favor of one choice, and that's the choice for abortion. They never say, hey, we support adoption, we support these other things. No, they only push one choice, and that's abortion. And even when it comes to this whole slogan, my body, my choice, they're not referring to the woman's own body, they're referring to another human's body, which is the child, and they're in favor of the death of that child. So really pushes for all of this. We have to then kind of translate what it is that they're saying versus what it actually means in the situation.
Yeah, that's, I think, well said. The other thing I was going to ask you about, and then I do want to ask you how we can get your book and follow the work that you do, but if one is, the people who support abortion have to acknowledge the fact that the disproportionate, if you will, victims of abortion are poor, and they tend to be people of color. That's just a mathematical fact, and I think it's kind of an ugly fact. They don't want to talk about it, but we've seen all this violence this summer telling us that certain lives matter, and yet I don't think they mean that very much, because there's one way you could save you could have saved over the last several decades tens of millions of lives, and yet they don't. In fact, they rail against people who want to save those lives. People like you, people like me, people like Dr. Nasser, that, they just, we're horrible human beings because we want to save these lives.
Yeah, it's horrible because the left likes to act like they're so compassionate. They like to act like they care about all these people. They don't care about all people. They don't care about everyone. They only care about the people who they can control and who are voting for them. And they know that the unborn are basically of no use to them. So they figure, why don't we kill these people? Why don't we get rid of them? And many people on the left, unfortunately, subscribe to a horrific ideology called eugenics, and they believe that certain people are not as good as other people, whether that's because of the color of their skin, or because of their gender, or because they have a disability. Maybe they have Down syndrome. Maybe they are not like you. they feel like, well, we should just get rid of that person. They also have this very deranged idea that we need to have some kind of population control, and the way to get that population control is by killing off people. And this is something that they've been pushing for a century, maybe longer, and it's kind of taken different forms in terms of how they push this population control, but to them, abortion is the best way to do it. And that's why a lot of very wealthy Democrats who are elitist, limousine liberals, so on, love abortion, because they think that by killing off people in certain neighborhoods, they're going to have a better world. It's very horrible how they put it, but that's why Planned Parenthood actually gets so many donations.
Yikes. Wow. Well, Danielle, our time's about up, but I want to make sure that our listeners and our viewers have the chance to buy your book, know where they can find it, and follow the work that you do. So can you just fill them in on all the different ways they can connect with Danielle D'Souza Gill?
Yeah, so I'm Danielle D'Souza Gill on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, all the main places. The book is The Choice, The Abortion Divide in America, and you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Christian Book, all of the main places, and Audible if you like listening to books, ebook if you like, Kindle, that kind of stuff. So definitely check it out. There is much more in there to deep dive into all these things of uncovering the evil of Planned Parenthood and the Democrats.
We really appreciate you taking time to be with us today. Really enlightening. I hope that book is very successful because it's an important work and it's something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about. And so I appreciate the courage that you took to write such a book and to put your name to it and to be here with us to share that with our listeners and our viewers. Very, very important. Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. To our viewers and listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth. He's Nasser Sheikh, and our guest has been Danielle D'Souza Gill, and we're just excited to have had her here, and we hope you enjoyed this as much as Nasser and I did. But we, of course, are coming to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, the AUN TV Network, and Al Gore's Amazing Internet. Our website, ccrshow.com. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now. now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the AON TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, of course, and then there's always Al Gore's amazing internet to fill in any spot where those broadcast towers don't carry our signal. Never fear. Aren't you glad Al Gore invented the internet? I'm George Landreth, and I'm here with my co-host, the good doctor, the doctor of democracy, Nasser Sheikh. And of course, we're really excited to have a great guest. So with that, Nasser, I've got to turn I said last time, I didn't want to give you the honor of introducing our guest. That's not because I don't think you're awesome. It's not a slight to you. It's that our guests are so awesome. I'd like to hog all the fun myself, but I'm not going to. I'm going to turn it over to you now, the good doctor, the doctor of freedom and democracy, to introduce our next guest.
I appreciate that, George. We have Dr. Gerard Lamero. He's an author, a philosopher, an economist, an engineer. He's also the author of 5 books and a popular TV and talk radio show host. His latest book, Real World Socialism, if you'll hold that up so our viewers can see it.
Sure.
It's available from Amazon.com. Now, Dr. Lamero, you have to understand, he was on one of those very tiny islands, of which I was a part of as well. And there was just a very few people back in 2015, 2016, who correctly predicted President Trump's victory long before the Marxist media, mainstream elites did. So we've got to give kudos to Dr. Lamero for that as well. And we welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. And this article that you wrote, Presidential Election Scenarios, I mean, if I would have written the article, I would have just said, okay, all of that, but you know what? Forget it. He wins. It's over. But go ahead, give us an idea of all the scenarios that you went through. Very thought-provoking. And at least it's some food for thought around the dinner table, basically.
Right. Well, actually, I thought, people are talking about different things happening, like Hillary Clinton telling Joe Biden, don't concede under any circumstances, and eventually you'll win. And so I thought about it.
Well, she hasn't conceded yet, has she?
No, I don't think she's conceded yet either. Maybe she hopes to still win.
Right.
And so I went ahead and I sat down. I went to the Constitution. I went to federal law and read the laws associated with presidential elections. And so I came up with this article that people can find on my website, greatnewsforamerica.com, presidential scenarios, election scenarios. And there are a whole lot of them, depending on what you expect. Now, I do not expect a lot of them to take place. I expect Donald Trump's, he's gathering momentum. His win is going to be large enough to where I doubt even Biden will want to litigate it. But that is a possibility. After Trump wins, in what I think is going to be a landslide on Election Day, Joe Biden may fail to concede. He may say, no, I want every last vote counted, and while we're printing them in the back room, and that, we want to make sure they're all counted, and we haven't finished printing them, or whatever he might say. By the way, did you hear him on law? I heard him actually talking yesterday, and he said, I have the best voter fraud organization that has ever been assembled. And I thought, voter fraud organization? Is that a Freudian slip?
A moment of candor.
Or he just doesn't know what he's saying? His campaign later came back and said, no, he didn't mean that. He meant voter fraud, get rid of it, not create it. So at any rate, he has a hard time, though, because yesterday he called Donald Trump George Bush. Bush. It just keeps going on. It's pretty hilarious. But at any rate, there are a number of scenarios that would happen. Let's say he does want to contest one or more states. Maybe he figures if he contests Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio, and Arizona, maybe that would keep it from being enough electoral votes to get Donald Trump elected. So let's say he litigates in 4 or 5 key battleground states. What happens? Well, it might start out in a state court and have to run up the state court chain of command up to the Supreme Court of a state. But let's say they can't decide, or one or the other candidate, Trump or Biden, doesn't like it, then what happens? Well, it goes to the federal court system. And it works its way up rather quickly to the Supreme Court. And by the way, Amy Coney Barrett will probably be on there. And she has not recused herself from the election. Good for her. So she'll be voting on that. Now, it's possible the Supreme Court will pick the next president by deciding how some of these cases go, if that goes to the court, to the Supreme Court. But let's just suppose it doesn't. Let's suppose the litigation is so complicated and they're so caught up in counting and they have miscounts and recounts and count after count after count, and it's not settled by December 14th. What's the big deal about December 14th? Well, the Constitution and laws say that the Electoral College must meet by the first Monday after the second Tuesday. Where they came up with that, I do not know, but that's when it meets. And this year, the first Monday after the second Wednesday is December 14th. So if one candidate has not amassed 270 electoral votes by that date, when the Electoral College actually meets, then guess what happens? It goes to the House, because the Electoral College failed to come up with a winner. And by the way, I was once a member of the Electoral College, so I know what it's like. And you meet in the governor's office of your state capital at 12 noon on December 14th. This year's December 14th. It varies by year. Okay, let's say it goes to the House. Well, the House, you might think, oh, that's Democratic. You know, they've got a majority. They're going to pick Biden. No, it doesn't go by vote. It goes by state delegation. Each state gets only one vote. So California may have 53 congresspeople, but guess what? They get one vote. Wyoming has one congressperson. Guess what? They get one vote. That's the Federalist principle working throughout our Constitution. So what that boils down to is who has the most state delegations. Well, right now, the Republicans have 28 delegations, and the Democrats have, let's see, 29. Well, they've got less. 24, 25, whatever it is. 28 for Republicans. One is tied, and then the rest are Democrat delegations. And by the way, it's not this Congress that counts anyway. It's whatever Congress assembles on January 3rd when they're sworn in that counts. And that will probably have more Republican delegations than even now. That's what the projections are looking like. Now, suppose the House happened to have a 25-25 tie. Not likely, given a lot of things, but let's just say they couldn't pick a president. Then what happens? Well, guess what? The Senate has to pick the acting president from the top two vice presidential candidates. So right now, the Senate is Republican. They vote not by state delegation, but by individual senators. And in this case, Michael Pence would become the acting president. And if the House has not picked a president by that time, the acting president automatically becomes president. So Mike Pence could become president. I'm not sure what he'd do with Donald Trump then. So, any questions about those scenarios? That's a quick thumbnail sketch.
No, and folks, you need to go to the article, really take a deep dive into it. There's some great links there as well that Dr. Gerard here has, listed inside there, Ballotpedia, 538, and others. Great article. I want to also get to, your book a little bit.
Sure.
Because this is what I think is happening. I think there's a nationalist voice, I think, that's out there. And I don't think that in the left and the Marxist mainstream media and what I call the Democratic State Party controlled media, every time you took up nationalists, they try to equate that and redefine that as part of like a white supremacist movement or as part of, a bigotry or... I laugh
because it's really incredulous that they say that. But you're right, they do.
They do. And I ask people, I say, you know what? Where does it say that any leader, I don't care who it is, you take a look at, Macron in France. Would Macron in France do anything to the detriment of France? No, he's a nationalist. Anybody, you take the Prime Minister of India, Modi, would he do anything that's going to be a detriment to his country? No, it's India first. That's what is so wrong with saying America first, American citizens first. It's people first, the country first. That's what it's all about. And so that combined with this real world socialism, understanding, that, socialism is something that has such cancerous tentacles in it that when it wraps itself around an environment, it wraps itself around a society, it is truly detrimental to that society. And we have so many examples in history to take a look at. So, sir, give us an idea of what do you think the sense of as terms of the socialist movement that seems to be so popular, especially amongst our youngsters and, children in high school and college?
Well, the book I wrote answers all those questions and a whole lot more. And let me tell you this. What I think this election is about is whether or not America wants to go to socialism. The Democratic Party has given up on the Constitution, given up on our constitutional republic, in my view. I think they have continued to go left and Marxist, as you mentioned the word Marxist before, and I think that this election is the biggest election since 1789. And why do I say that? In 1789, believe it or not, all the states had not ratified the Constitution during the election. And 3 states didn't even get to vote in the Electoral College. New York didn't vote because they sent their delegates late. And Rhode Island and North Carolina didn't vote because they hadn't ratified the Constitution. But the remaining states, there were 10 of them remaining that voted, they picked George Washington as president. The big issue during that campaign was, should we adopt the Constitution and make it the law of the land? It turns out they voted for George Washington. They all decided they would adopt the Constitution and ratify it. They all did, and they were quite happy. And we had a pretty good country after that for 244 years. This year, it's the first time since the Constitution is really on the ballot. President Trump and the Republican Party wants to stick with the Constitution, the rule of law, law and order, things like that. All the basic things, maintaining our dignity as a country and having a sovereign border. The Democrats have adopted globalism, nationalism in the sense of a Marxist nationalism. That's what they want. It's really a Marxism or socialism. And since Joseph Stalin was in office in Russia, he's wanted to really push Marxism all around the world. Well, Marxists before that did it, but he did it on a big scale. He was the one who infiltrated Hollywood in our country and placed a lot of people there who were communists. And right now we're dealing with a party that wants socialism. They have told us very openly they want revolution. They have told us very openly they want transformation. They have told us they don't like this country the way it was formed. They don't like the way it is, and they want to change it. So we are voting for either socialism or we're voting for the Constitution and the rule of law. I think it's going to be overwhelming signal that American people are going to pick Donald Trump, the Constitution, and the rule of law. I wrote the book Socialism because I wanted to give everybody the knowledge of what socialism is, where it started. I give it a good definition. There are all sorts of variations that they've tried to come up with to make it sound good. Christian socialism, democratic socialism, designer socialism, lots of fancy names, but they're all socialism. And they always, as I've said in this book and my very first book, socialism always leads to moral and economic bankruptcy. There's no example of where it worked.
Dr. Lamero, we're coming up against a hard break, but we're speaking with Dr. Gerard Lamero. He's an author, a philosopher, economist, written 5 books. His latest book, Real World Socialism, is out there available for sale. We've been talking to him about his article, Presidential Election Scenarios. And you're coming to us, and we're coming to you actually, from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network and the AUN-TV network broadcasting system. Also to be seen on internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn American Political Radio, and AM/FM 24/7. On the other side, we've got our producer for today, George Landreth. And we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes, folks. We've got to do some business with our sponsors because we're still a capitalist nation. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with our guest, Dr. Gerald Lamero.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show, carried on the AUN-TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, and also on Al Gore's amazing internet. We truly are everywhere. Maybe not in China or North Korea, maybe not Iran either, but everywhere else we're there. We truly are. I'm George Landreth, and I am here with the good doctor of democracy, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. We're glad you stuck around through the break. We're glad that Dr. Gerald Lamero did as well, because we've got lots more to talk about. And if you're just tuning in and you missed the first half of this interview, check out our website, ccrshow.com, because rebroadcasts are there, and you don't have to miss a bit, and you won't want to. Thanks, Dr. Lamero, for sticking through the break. We appreciate it.
Sure.
I wanted to discuss with you, if we could, just a little bit of what I've seen in the press. Some of it, I sometimes scratch my head. I actually saw a poll this morning that there was claiming that that Joe Biden had just pulled ahead of Donald Trump in Texas, of all places, and that John Cornyn was also now just barely behind his Democratic challenger, and that this was a harbinger of all kinds of horrible things that would be happening to Donald Trump because, after all, this news source hates Donald Trump. You've said you think he's going to win. I agree with you. I know that Nasser does too. But let's talk about, explain why that's wrong. If it's wrong, if I'm presuming that something that's not good, you can say, "Oh no, George, they're totally right." Whatever you have to say is okay. I'm pitching the pitch. You hit it.
Well, I think to begin with, the polls have been notoriously wrong. At roughly this same time period in 1988, I'll go back to a few elections, Dukakis was running against George Herbert Walker Bush, 1988, and Dukakis was ahead by 17 percentage points. He went on to lose, even though he was ahead in the polls in 1988. Same thing with Hillary Clinton in 2016.
I was saying he lost in a landslide, too. That was not a close election.
1988, George Bush carried 40 states, and Dukakis got 10 states plus the District of Columbia. Everybody gets District of Columbia if they're Democrats.
Yeah, it's a gimme.
Fortunately, they only have 3 electoral votes. But at any rate, I would say, that years ago I used to think the polls were wrong because they were a little bit sloppy. They're in a big rush to get numbers out. And so they were careless, and they did things like oversampling Democrats. We now know most of the polls do that again. They oversample Democrats, especially relative to how many registrations there are. I don't know if you saw the Gallup article recently, but Democrat and Republican registrations are about equal now. Yet most polls way overestimate Democrats, so they're bound to get a much more tilt toward Biden. Another factor is on small samples. They make a number of mistakes there that don't legitimately capture the electorate as I see it. And I think if you model an election, do forecasting like I do, you consider things that they just don't consider in their polls. And the polling, if you will, the underlying model is just not designed right to get good answers. I would say you can take any of those polls and subtract 5 to 8% of Biden's support as an automatic given. That is 5 to 8% too high just to start with. Whether or not they have other mistakes to bring it even further down is possible. So I think all the indications are that Trump will win. My forecast model says he'll get 348 electoral votes to Biden's 190. And I'll quote another. I watch, lots of people who do their work. And there's a Stony Brook University professor in New York State that has another forecast model. It does it differently than I do it. He does it based on primary and primary elections. And he's got Trump with a 91% probability of winning with 361 electoral votes. So his is even bigger. There's another national forecast model that gives Trump 330. And I'm sitting right between them, and I think I'm the most accurate. So we'll see. But at any rate, I think.
Well, last time you were definitely the most accurate. I don't know if you accurately predicted how every single voter in America would vote, but you got it down to the electoral vote to a pretty fine science. But who knows? Maybe my neighbor across the street, you missed that one. I don't know.
Well, I do it by state. And in Nevada. And not Nevada, Nebraska and Maine, you have to do it by congressional district because the electoral votes are allocated by congressional district as well as statewide.
Right.
So,
I was being facetious about predicting what my neighbor did. But speaking of neighbors, one of the things that's interesting is some polls ask people, the same polls that show Joe Biden winning, when they ask the same person that said, I'm voting for Joe Biden, who their neighbor's voting for, apparently Donald Trump wins in a landslide when they ask that question.
That tells you something.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things like that are indicating Trump's likely to win. I think another big issue is that the polls take a snapshot in time. So, for example, on September 1st, you do a poll. That's what people feel on September 1st. But candidates that have low voter intensity, meaning the voters are not intensely interested in that person winning, they tend not to vote. And so you have people who say they're going to vote for Biden in September might not vote. If there's a rainstorm,
they're certainly not attending his rallies. Let's put it that way.
Right. And by the way, something significant about the rallies I look at too, about 20% of people in the rallies are Democrats consistently. See, he's drawing 20% of his mobs, those huge crowds, those rally crowds, from the Democrats. He's pulling voters across. So when, for example, people saying, the Democrats have an early lead in terms of early voting, they're assuming those Democrats are voting for Democrats, but a lot of them are voting for Trump. Right. So I'd say all the indications are the opposite. The polls just don't capture the dynamics. They don't capture the variables that I look at, and they're just not right.
Oh, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It's frustrating. I do think I think it was Frank Luntz who said if President Trump wins again, given all the polling, that my profession is done. I tend to say, you're probably right, because at some point you can't be this wrong this often and have us continue to trust you. And at least as I see it, part of the problem is most of the polling that we see is sponsored by media organizations, and they're looking for headlines. They're not necessarily looking for fact. They're looking for things they can use as a lead story on their broadcast or on their paper.
Well, what I've come to the conclusion is that most of the polls now that are quoted by the media are polls designed to influence the election.
Yes.
And what they're doing is they're trying to depress the Trump vote by saying he's going to lose, it's hopeless, no sense voting, he's already lost. and Biden's won by a large margin. I think they're doing that to depress Trump voters. But remember, Trump voters have high voter intensity, high voter enthusiasm, so they vote no matter what. And if anything, it doubles down and forces them to go out the door. And the funny thing is, a lot of the Biden voters are not enthusiastic at all about Biden, and they say, well, he's won, I don't need to go.
Yeah, there you go.
It works just the opposite.
Yeah.
A lot of the Democrats' strategy this year has worked the exact opposite of what they're hoping.
Yeah, I would even argue them telling everyone that you shouldn't be voting in person because it's dangerous is a bad idea, because I suspect that they may have, they're suppressing their own voter turnout.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
Thinking that allowing the anarchy in the streets would help bring out the black vote for Trump, against Trump, and would worry the suburban housewives. It's working just the opposite. The suburban housewives want law and order. They don't want it to come from the cities into the suburbs. And the black voters, they like Donald Trump. His approval rating is up to 49% among black voters. True. And he's actually going to get over 35%, and I think 42% of the black vote. There's no way the Democrats can win when they lose that voter bloc that they've depended on for decades.
Absolutely. Well, we're about out of time, Dr. Lamera, but I want to ask you how our viewers and listeners can follow your work, get any of your books. You've got a number of books out. We've talked about your socialism book, but the truth is you have a number of books out. They're all worth reading. So how can our listeners be up on all things Dr. Lamera?
Well, just go to my website, which is Great News For, spelled out F-O-R, America, greatnewsforamerica.com. And there's information on all my books and links to Amazon if they want to buy them. And I do about a new article every week, and there are about 235 web pages on my website. So there's plenty of things you can read, a lot of interesting things. Like, for example, I recommend you click on the information button and read the 10 laws for winning presidential elections. And the people who win usually follow them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's good advice. As
if you're going to run for president, especially.
Yeah, if you're going to bother to run, you might want to try to win. Good idea,
That's right?
So, but we are up against the break, and we appreciate you spending this time with us. I know our viewers and listeners do as well. I do want to remind both our viewers and listeners that this is the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landreth, and my co-host is Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and of course our guest has been Dr. Lamera. We really appreciate having you here. Dr. Lamera is always interesting. Do want to remind you that Conservative Commandos comes to you, not surprisingly, on the Conservative Commandos radio network, on the AUN-TV network, and of course, everywhere on Al Gore's amazing internet. You can get rebroadcast, more information, ccrshow.com. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. But when I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm gonna call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering bring it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. We're carried on the Conservative Commandos radio network, the AUN-TV network, that's the America Uncensored News Network, and of course, if you're not near one of those broadcast towers, it doesn't matter because Al Gore's Amazing Internet is there, and you can always hear us on Al Gore's Amazing Internet. It's just great. I'm so glad that he did that for us. I'm George Landreth, and I am one of your co-hosts. The other co-host is the good doctor of democracy, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. And I should now just turn this over to you. Like I said, I'm reluctant to do it just because I want to hog all the fun for myself. But my mom tells me I shouldn't be selfish. So I'm going to listen to my mom and let you introduce our next guest.
You're going to share. How nice.
Right.
Well, listen, folks, thanks for tuning in. We're here with George Parry, who is a contributor to the American Spectator, the Federalist, and the Philadelphia Inquirer. He's also a former federal and state prosecutor, a myriad of jobs. He was a special attorney for the Organized Crime and Racketeering Section for the DOJ. He was a unit chief, investigative divisions, a Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, special organized crime prosecutor in Pennsylvania, and also a legal analyst for KYW-TV in Philadelphia. A patriot, a conservative. We want to welcome George back to the Conservative Commanders radio show and talk to you about his article, Voter Fraud, Harvesting Granny. So, George, welcome back to the, this article is in the American Spectator, I believe.
Yes.
So give us, our audience, a sense. I don't even know why you really wrote this article, George, because the mainstream Marxist media, the Democratic State Party-controlled media, the alphabet networks, they continually tell me and you there's not a single thing, there's no voter fraud. I mean, there isn't. So I think this article that you wrote is just, why'd you write it?
Well, it's to give an historical perspective to the voter fraud that we have had almost forever here in Pennsylvania, especially in the city of Philadelphia, and which we're about to find out there's going to be plenty more of it in this upcoming election. It's the article itself, goes way back into the mist of time, back to the 1970s, when Democrat Frank Rizzo ran for mayor against the Republican Thatcher Longstreth. And it recounts some of the experiences that I had working with a nonprofit group or a nonpartisan volunteer group to monitor that election, and some of the horror stories that we came across with rigged voting machines and voter intimidation and suppression. So that was the purpose of the article. It also talked about in 2008 the efforts by the Obama campaign to harvest votes from jail inmates in Philadelphia. So that's the historical perspective. But to update things, we have plenty going on right now in Pennsylvania, which is going to throw the determination as to who actually wins here in Pennsylvania into the courts. And it's going to lead to a great deal of confusion and chaos and possibly violence, given the way things are developing right now.
Well, sir, give us a sense of, in 2016, it seems that when you take a look at the political pundits and you take a look at the early voting and the ballots, the early ballots,
right,
it seems to be that they say, if you win Philadelphia, which is a bastion of a stronghold for the Democrats, then basically you can survive, the rural areas. And there was never anyone of a stature of President Trump that was able to garner those votes. And from 2012 to 2016, were there any shenanigans that sort of went on? I'm sure there were, but was it not enough to sort of overturn what happened in the rural areas for Donald Trump?
Well, look, the way things work here in Pennsylvania, I think it was James Carville, who was Bill Clinton's political guru, once said of Pennsylvania that outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the rest of Pennsylvania is Alabama. And that's true. And for a Democrat to win statewide election in Pennsylvania traditionally, he has to come out of Philadelphia with rockets on his feet in order to overcome the Republican advantage throughout the rest of the state. What Trump did in 2016 was that he not only overcame the Philadelphia crowd, he got literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who had never voted before to vote for him. So it was really an historical win from that standpoint. And what we have now, I can tell you, just the evidence on the ground here in Pennsylvania is the enthusiasm for Trump is off the charts. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like it. We have spontaneous Trump demonstrations involving thousands of people throughout the state. Trump today is holding 3 rallies in Pennsylvania. And he said this morning at the Allentown rally that our Democrat governor here, Governor Tom Wolf, has basically, well, not basically, Tom Wolf said that Trump couldn't hold the rallies at the locations that they had previously arranged to have them at. So these rallies that are being held today are impromptu in terms of where they are being held, because it's all been cobbled together at the very last minute. And they're still drawing tens of thousands of people. And these people are very, very enthusiastic. So I have no doubt in my mind that Trump will win the actual election in Pennsylvania. The only question is whether or not he is going to be able to prevail over the post-election effort to steal the outcome. And by that I mean, we have here in Pennsylvania, we elect our judges. And we have a state Supreme Court which is elected. And by a 4-3 majority, the 4 in the majority being all Democrats, they have altered the election laws to favor the Democrats. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, by a 4-3 vote, all Democrats voting in favor of this, have changed the date by which all the ballots must be received, so that instead of the deadline in the statute of 8 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd, ballots can be received as late as 8 p.m. on November 6th, that is 3 days after the election. They've also changed the law to state that the ballots do not have to be postmarked. In other words, the Democrats will have 3 days following Election Day within which to generate enough mail-in ballots without postmarks and submit them and change the outcome of the election. And oh, by the way, they also have held that the ballots don't need to be signed. So when you want to come up with a scheme by which you can manufacture fake ballots, as many as you need, once you count up the votes on Election Day, and then you sit down and say, well, how many ballots do we need to change the outcome? The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has put all of the pieces in place to allow that to happen. Now, the Pennsylvania Republican Party appealed this ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court, and by a 4-4 split, that is a tie in the Supreme Court of the United States, the GOP appeal was unsuccessful, and therefore the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling stood. Today, hopefully, Judge Amy Coney Barrett will become Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and there will be a solid 5-person majority on the court, which will be, basically conservative, or at least right of center. And the GOP is going back to the U.S. Supreme Court. Whether or not Justice Barrett would rule on their petition, whether or not the 4 justices who voted to grant the petition in the first place will stay the course remains to be seen. But that's where we are in Pennsylvania right now. We're looking at the possible and likely theft of the election here in Pennsylvania by the Democrats.
And it's John Roberts who crossed over to the other side, correct?
Yeah, the same guy who saved Obamacare by declaring that it was a tax, even though nobody argued that Obamacare was a tax. Roberts very creatively came along and said, oh yeah, no, it's actually a tax, and therefore we're going to keep Obamacare. Yeah, Roberts has been very unreliable in terms of knowing which way he's going to go, and he certainly did it again this time around, because look, Pennsylvania is a swing state, it's a key state, and the outcome of the national election could very well come down to what happens in Pennsylvania. And there Roberts was siding up with the 3 liberals on the court to deny the relief sought by the Republicans from Pennsylvania. So this is a serious matter here in Pennsylvania. And right now, if the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling is allowed to stand, there's nothing to prevent the Philadelphia Democrats from creating as many fake ballots as they need over the 3-day period after the election, after Election Day, to change the outcome of the election. So it's very, very serious here in Pennsylvania.
Wow. I was going to say that, what I was going to basically say is that I think there's a new, you touched on it a little bit, that I call it that there's a new demographic that I think the polls have not reflected. And what I basically call them is, the come to Trump movement, or you're coming to Jesus movement, basically. Yes. And that's the demographic that I talk about. And I say these are newly registered Republicans who did not vote in the 2016 elections. And one thing that's been historical is that the Democrats, because of the way that they work together in these aspects, that they've always been able to out-register Republicans across the board, across the country. But this year is different. What I've been looking at, some of the statistics is that, to give you an idea, in PA alone, you probably know this, as of now, the RNC over the past year registered 100,000 people more as Republicans than they did Democrats. But what you're basically telling me, and then we can assume, I think, that those people that are registered Republican, at least 90% or more, are going to vote for President Trump, because in the primary he had 94% support. But I don't think we can expect that from all the Democrats, that they're voting for on their side from the primary, because they didn't vote for Biden in that regard. So with all this being said, you're basically saying if this allows to go to the PA Supreme Court, all they have to do literally is say, we're down 200,000 and print out 201,000 ballots? I mean, is that basically in a nutshell?
Anything's possible, but your facts are absolutely correct. The Republicans have done a great job, not only in Pennsylvania, but throughout the country, in increasing their voter registration. And people aren't registering as Republicans in 2020 because they don't like Trump. I mean, the thing about Trump, and I have a hard time explaining this to my many friends who are political professionals, because they continue to exist in a time warp somewhere in 1950. The thing about Trump is that he cuts across all party lines. He's not a Republican when you get right down to it. He's not a traditional Republican. The guy is a populist. And he, as I say, he draws tremendous loyalty and support, especially among the people who in the past never voted. These were the people in the working class who have been treated abominably, not only by the Democrats, but frankly by many of the Republican administrations. I mean, they were abandoned. Their jobs were sent overseas. The economy was looted. All you have to do is go through rural Pennsylvania to see the devastation that was wreaked by NAFTA and these trade deals and trade with China. And these are the people whose lives and livelihoods were destroyed by all that went on before Trump. And they will walk over hot coals and crawl over broken glass, and I'll be one of them, to vote for Donald Trump on Election Day. And the Republicans are holding off until Election Day. Right. And so the early voting, if this information is correct, the early voting here in Pennsylvania with the mail-in ballots, where Biden was supposed to, talk about coming out of Philadelphia with rockets on his feet, the Democrats are underperforming on these mail-in ballots, and that's a very bad sign. And I'll tell you another bad sign is Joe Biden has disappeared. There's one story out today that he's not going to be doing any more campaigning between now and Election Day. Now, you can read that one in two ways. One is he's given up, or number two, they're counting on the post-election theft scenario to carry them to success. But we've by the way, I don't want to be too gloomy here. We have had 372,000 mail-in ballots rejected in Pennsylvania because the names on them didn't correspond to registered voter. Excuse me. Didn't correspond to registered. Somebody in the Secretary of State's office, since the Democrat Secretary of State, at least to that extent, somebody's minding the store. But that doesn't mean that they can't pull this off post-election. But no, the support is very strong in Pennsylvania. Whether or not
we've got to take a quick break here. Sorry about that, George. We're speaking here with George Parry, who's a contributor to the American Spectator. He's also been a former federal and state prosecutor, and I would be remiss, I should have mentioned this earlier, is that we want to thank you for your service in terms of, when they talk about Blue Lives Matter, well, it's what? We back the blue here at Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We'd love to hold you over for another segment, sir. Would you be kind enough to do so?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, folks, you're listening and watching the Conservative Commandos Radio Network on the AUN-TV network and also on the internet through TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, and AM/FM 24/7. We've got to take 2 minutes here to go with our sponsors. We hope you listen to them as well and do business with them because, after all, we are still a capitalist society. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, folks, so don't go away. We'll be right back with George Parry and our co-host, George Landreth.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more.
And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show, carried on the AUN-TV network, the America Uncensored News TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, and of course, Al Gore's amazing internet. I'm George Landreth, and I am one of your co-hosts today. The other one, the Doctor of Democracy, Nasser Sheikh. We're really glad that you stuck around because we have George with us. He's got a great first name, doesn't he? From one George to another. But bottom line is we're glad to have George Parry with us for a second segment because there's lots more to talk about. I know the mainstream press tells you that there's no such thing as voter fraud, but I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm an attorney too. He's, if you read his article in the American Spectator, he actually gives you some examples of that. I can give you some of the same stories. I was in Cuyahoga County in 2004 there to help kind of suppress the fraud, not the vote, the fraud. And but anyhow, I wanted to ask you, George, I remember reading that there were precincts in Philadelphia where they didn't get a single vote cast. It wasn't just one or two precincts. It was a number of precincts. Not one vote was cast for Mitt Romney. That's a little hard for me to believe. There isn't one person who either on purpose or by accident didn't vote for Mitt Romney when you have that many voters. You know, it's just, there's no such thing as 100% type thing. It doesn't work that way in real life. You might get 99%, maybe. Usually, though, it's more like, 80-20 or 60-40 or 55-45. But 100, even in a dictatorship, you don't usually get 100%. You get like 95% or 93% or something like that. Even in a dictatorship where they kill you for voting for the wrong guy.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And you're correct. There were precincts in Philadelphia where Romney didn't get a single vote. And there were also precincts in Philadelphia where they had 100% turnout. I mean, think about that, 100%. That doesn't happen even in North Korea. But that's what happened when Romney ran. And frankly, the shenanigans that go on in Philadelphia they're not a secret. Everybody knows about it. Everybody understands how the game is played in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is the
not quite everyone, because the people at the Washington Post and the New York Times deny that there's any voter fraud at all. But you're right. Everyone with half a brain and just a teeny bit of honesty, what you said is 100% true.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just how it goes. And look, we haven't had an honest election in Philadelphia since 1636. So why should they start now?
Wow.
But really, I mean, I was in the Philadelphia DA's office for a number of years, and one of the jobs in the Philadelphia DA's office was when there were problems at the polls, the DA's office was supposed to investigate and take action in court, and it was just constant. And this was back when electoral politics wasn't quite the blood sport that it is now. This is back when both parties were more or less America-centric. And, you can only imagine what's going on today with the leftist people who have taken over the Democrat Party, what they're prepared to do. I mean, look, one of the issues that we keep confronting is the accuracy of these polls. And it's true, Trump supporters are going to be shy about telling pollsters that they support Trump. That just isn't going to show up in the polls, but there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is the amount of intimidation that's involved. If you want to get yourself put in the hospital, put a MAGA hat on and take a walk down Chestnut Street in Philadelphia. You'll be lucky if you get home alive. That's the level of intimidation that we're dealing with today throughout the country, and certainly in places.
Well, I know people who live in the suburbs who will not put a bumper sticker on their car or a sign in their yard. On Facebook, they'll make it very clear who they're supporting because there's no address attached to that. But they won't put it on their car or their house. And I've asked them, I said, you're not a shy person. You're pretty clear about where you're coming from. And they said, yeah, but I'm not stupid. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, I don't want my car vandalized. I don't want my house vandalized. I'm not doing that, I'm just going to go out and vote and stick it to them. And I think it's kind of interesting because I do not think that you see a lot of Biden supporters out there saying, ooh, I don't want to answer that question. I don't want to put a bumper sticker on it because those nasty Trump supporters will vandalize my car. We actually play by the rules.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. By the way, for those people who are concerned about retaliation, here's a news flash I can share with you and your viewers. This website, I don't know if you can see this, https://donaldtrump.watch. Go to that website and you'll find, here's the opening page. Let me get this centered if I can. What it is a listing of everybody who has contributed to Donald Trump's campaign. Wow. And it's conveniently searchable by address or by name. So your name and address, if you have provided any financial support, right down to $5, if you have provided any financial support to Donald Trump, this group has very helpfully cataloged your name in their database. And so who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we live in a time now where you got to wonder if Antifa is going to show up in your front yard. And so now they have done this so that people will be looking over their shoulders. And let me just share with you, because this is, I think, remarkable. This DonaldTrump.watch site says, Americans that donated to the worst president in history, 225,000 dead. And it quotes Voltaire, of all people. Quote, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. You tell me what that's all about. I think it's all of a piece with why people don't want to put Trump signs in their front yards, why they don't want to answer pollsters' questions, why they want to keep their support for Trump to themselves. And thanks to that, the polls in 2016, just as the polls today, are worthless in determining who's going to win this election. And also, the flip side of that is, I believe that the polls are not calculated, at least by the major media outlets, they're not calculated to determine the state of the electorate. They are calculated to influence the outcome, to suppress the vote among Trump people by making them think there's no way your guy's going to win. Don't even bother showing up to vote because he's going down. The same thing went on in 2016. The same thing's happening today.
Absolutely. That's sadly the truth. I think you're exactly right about that. George, our time's about up, so I want to ask you to tell our listeners how they can follow your work. Websites, social media, whatever it is, the best way to be up on all things George Parry.
Well, thank you. I should have prepared a sign for this. I blog at knowledgeisgood.net. That's all one word, knowledgeisgood.net. That's my blog site, and if you want to read what I have to say about anything, I reproduce not only the articles I write for the American Spectator on that blog site, but also I have other articles that I've written that are on the site. So knowledgeisgood.net.
That should be easy to remember. Knowledge is good, because it is.
Yeah, well, I stole it Animal House.
Fair enough.
And it's a free website. So.
Well, thank you so much, George. We appreciate it. We are up against a break, so I want to thank you for joining us. It's been great to have you on the program. I appreciate you sharing your expertise and experience with us. I know our viewers and listeners do as well.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Just want to remind our viewers and listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos, and I'm George Landreth with the good doctor, the doctor of democracy, Nasser Sheikh, and we are coming to you on the Conservative Commandos radio network, broadcast all across this great nation on the AUN-TV network, and of course, Al Gore's amazing internet. You can get a rebroadcast of the show or more information, ccrshow.com. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, radio show and the television show. We're so grateful you're here. It's been a great opportunity to hear from some great folks. And of course, my good friend, the good doctor, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. I'm George Landreth. I'll just tell you real quick, if you want to follow me, you can follow me by going to my website for my organization, ff.org. You can follow me on Twitter at glandreth. That's GLANDRITH. Nasser, why don't you tell folks how they can follow the work that you do and make sure that they know how they can, obviously you're here every Monday, but we want to make sure that every other day of the week they can still be up on all the information that the good doctor has for them.
Well, thanks, George. They can firstly go to my website, which is www.drnasirshakh.com, so drnasirshakh.com. Twitter, at Nasser Sheikh Show, that's at Nasser Sheikh Show, or follow me on Facebook, which is The Nasser Sheikh Show. That's the Nasser Sheikh Show. And I also want to thank our guests that were here with us. First of all, we had Danielle D'Souza Gill. She's the author of a new book, The Choice, The Abortion Divide in America. And she also happens to be the daughter of a great American patriot, someone that I follow a lot, and I know everybody else knows. She's the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza. And she was basically talking to us about her article and also her book, The New Abortion Debate. And that was an article that appeared, I believe, in Newsweek. Also, we want to thank Dr. Gerard Lamaro. He's a great guest that we've had many, many times. He's an author, a philosopher. He's also, his latest book he's written called Real World Socialism. And Dr. Lamaro was talking to us about the presidential election scenarios, and he went into great detail of some of the things that could happen during presidential elections. So it's a great read, great information, also great links to go to. And just like I said, all around a very informative article. And finally, George Parry. He's a contributor to the American Spectator. He served as a special attorney for organized crime, Department of Justice. He's just another great patriot and a conservative. He was talking to us about his article, Voter Fraud, Harvesting Granny, and his article appeared in the American Spectator. So once again, 3 great guests here on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. Great information for everyone around.
Absolutely. That is the truth. And you heard it straight from the Doctor of Democracy, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. I'm George Landreth. We're the Conservative Commandos, but the truth is we're out of time. We've got to run. We've got to go, but we do want to say we will see you on TV and on radio tomorrow